Hey guys, welcome to the MMC University. Again, my name is Mr. E. I'm gonna be covering a session with you guys today. If this is the first time you're coming, welcome. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share. If you know somebody gonna, learn something from this video I'm about to do for you guys, I would really appreciate it. Um, a little bit of disclaimer. This is not a course. This is just a help to help you pass your exam. This is really mainly for the state of Indiana. Guys, actually, if you don't have your water, it's time to go get your water. You have to back it up, okay? And get your water and get your things ready to go. So this is mainly a session just for the state of Indiana. Like I said, this is not a course. This is just a material just to help you pass the exam. This is not a class. You need to go to find the tests, a place where they give the course so you can use your book, your material, so you can go ahead and do your study. Just don't count just on this video alone to be able to pass your exam. So this only can help you. Okay. So we're gonna get started. We're gonna get going with that. Um, I will turn my camera off. Honestly, yes. So you're just gonna hear me speaking. Just so you know. So you don't say, where am I? I'm here. You'll be able to hear me. Everything it's good. So let's get going. This is chapter 5 on the beautiful state of Indiana. Talks about laws and regulation. So there's some term that you need to know for the exam. Alias. That's the first term you have to know. It's meant to assume identity or otherwise known as alias. Okay, it's assume identity. So it's not. It's another way to say somebody name as. They would use that in front of somebody's name. You have to know cis and desist order. Okay, cis and desist order. Yeah, you can see it right here. Is to stop or discontinue. So in case if something going on, they will let you know. Cease and this is meant to stop, to discontinue. I don't want to go too much detail, so when I get to the material, so I can be able to explain things to you. Coercion, it's another word for forceful act, is when you're forcing somebody to do something. Or it is an act of threat aiming to influence a person to act a certain way. Okay, a certain way. And I forgot to mention also, if you have to take a break into this while you're taking this course, if you have to take a break, that's okay. You can take a break whenever you want. You can rewind the recording. That can help you. Okay, whatever that works for you. Let's see. Next word is commission. Is the payment an agent receive? Is the commission. When placing insurance, they pay you a commission. Is a percentage of the policy premium. It's a percentage of the policy premium. Let's see. The next word is commissioner. Commissioner is not a word you have to know. Is for the is that person is the head of the state of Indiana, of the Department of Insurance. That's the commissioner. Some state may not call it a commissioner. Maybe they might call it a chief financial officer. So you have to understand that. Exempt. Exempt means not subject to an obligation when something is exempt. If you did not have a chance to watch the term, I have some of those terms in the, I think 4 videos that I post. I think it was this month in May 2025. So there's those videos. If you didn't have a chance, watch them so you can see also the terminology on them. I give you some synonyms, different word they can use. Endorsement is an offer that an attempt to influence, someone. Insolvent. Insolvent means unable to meet financial obligation. So they're not able to meet the obligation, meaning financially. Promulgate is to make public, to put in action. It's a law. It's a quote of degree or anything in that nature. Okay. Give me a second. Give me 1 second, guys. All right. So next word is restitution. RE in front of it to restitution, restoration to the original um, condition or repayment. It's almost like when you use the word uh, indemnify. Okay. Statute. It's a formal written laws enacted by a legislature, insurance statutes that can be found into a state and the insurance code. Okay. Subpoena. Subpoena is in order for someone to appear as a witness or submit testimony or some type of evidence. So that's what subpoena mean. Surplus line is an insurance that's not available from otherwise insurer placed with a non-admitted insurers who specialize in offering insurance to the high risk market. Okay, so those are a few terminology that you need to use. All right, so we're gonna start with the Department of Insurance. Department of Insurance, okay, Indiana. Um, we're gonna start talking about when you see it's bold, that means it's important. The Department of Insurance. It was created to take charge of an organization, to supervise, to regulate, to do examination or rehabilitation. Okay, maybe liquidation. There's the job of the insurance department. There's a job is there to make sure it's there's things that they need to oversee. Okay, um, while the Department of Insurance falls primarily under the executive branch of the government, so you can see the Department of Insurance, it's really under the executive branch of the government. In order to serve its purpose, the department may exercise power from all three government branches. So, in government, there's three branches: there's legislative, executive, and judicial. So you have to understand, um, the legislative, they're the one that make the laws. So that's mean just like in the US, there's laws, there's like, that have to be mixed. So there's a branch in the government that makes that. And you need to know the role of the legislative is to make laws. They don't enforce it, but they the one that make the laws. It's not the insurance department. It's not the Department of Insurance. It's not the commissioner, but is the branch. That's that branch. You need to know that's exactly who makes the laws. Okay. Now, in other hand, after the legislative branch make the laws, now the executive have to enforce the laws. So they have to enforce the laws. So one makes it, one have to enforce it. And after that, if you violate it, it get enforced on you. So there is another branch that's interpreting the laws. That's where you go to the judge. Then they're gonna say, "Well, you did violate it, okay? Because you have the laws that's written. Now we enforce it because you violated. So the executive ain't gonna enforce it. Now, judicial gonna say, okay, now we're gonna use that law against what you just did. So now therefore, you're gonna have to pay some type of dues for that. Okay, either money, either some type of punishment. But that's the way it works. So know those things so you don't confuse them in case they come up in the exam. Because what they can do, they might use some terminology when you answer those law question, and you might think the Department of Insurance make the laws. They don't make the laws. The legislative branch make the laws. So be careful with that. So when it is in the best interest and the safety of the public, the department may promulgate rule and regulation, make public or put into action. So rule and regulation in Indiana are promulgated to explain the statute and carry to the same weight as those statutes. A state statute is a formal written law enacted by the legislature. Insurance statutes can be found in the state of insurance code. So they don't make them secret. So you know it's there. So the law it's there. So you just have to follow it and don't violate the law. Okay. So let's talk about number one. Okay, insurance commissioner. So this person is very an important person in the state of Indiana. So the insurance commissioner is the chief executive and the administrative officer. You can see it right here of the insurance department. So they have the powers, the duty, the management, and the control of the insurance department. They the head of the commissioner is on top. So not just them, but also with the governor. So of course you have to understand they work hand in hand. Of course, just like every state, they have those two branches. Now the general government have those two branches, but also the state have those two branch also. So just like there's federal laws, there's state laws. So in the state laws, well, the legislative branch in the state law make the law, and in the executive branch in the state enforce it, and the judicial in the state, and then interpreting the laws. So you find that inside the state as well. But inside of it, you find the insurance commissioner that they put on top is the head of the insurance department. Okay, now it's not the governor, but is on top of the insurance department. So the commissioner is appointed by the governor. So you cannot have the commissioner just like there. No, they have to be appointed by the governor on that state. And they may also remove. Okay, they may also remove from office by the governor. So not only the governor can appoint them, but if you ain't doing a good job, they're gonna fire your butt. Okay, so you don't do a good job in the state, so you don't do your job as a commissioner, so they have the right to get rid of you and then replace you with somebody else. So if that action is required, of course. In order to take office, the commissioner must present a bond with a sum of like 50,000 surety bond. So that's mean they have to. It's kind of some type of insurance they gotta have to make sure. Hey, we're gonna appoint you, but you have to have a bond for at least $50,000. So the commissioner is authorized to participate in National Association of Insurance Commissioners, so NAIC. Of course, they will have to participate, so at least they know if there is any rules that need to be updated, things that change while they're in office. So of course, you can see why they attend those type of things at NAIC. So note that even though the commissioner is a member of the executive branch, okay, so it's a member of the executive branch. Now, see, they don't make the law, but they are a member. They part of it is to make people respect the laws. Okay, so the commissioner has the legislative and the judicial powers. So when they come in, it's not like they give them the power to be able to, okay, this is the law. You're going to go make sure everybody knows about the laws, and you're going to enforce the laws in case people violate it. So also with the power of the judges in the state, and then we're going to make sure everything stay in alignment in case people don't want to follow it. So they know exactly what to do. So the commissioner's main duty, their main goal, the main thing they have to do is to administration, to enforce the provision of the insurance code. They want to make sure they administer it. They want to make sure they enforce it in case people violate. So the general powers, okay, the duties and the responsibility of the commissioner includes, but not limited to. So this is a few of the things that they can do. They can adopt the rules and regulation to enforce the provision of the insurance code, which that's what we've been mentioned. So that's the goal. They don't make it, but they have to be there to enforce it. They can conduct examination. Of course, they will examine the insurance company as they need to, but usually they don't have to do it more than 5 years, but they can do it often as possible. Investigation is done by them. Hearing also is determined whether any person is violate or a provision of a code. They also maintain confidentiality of documents. So there's document that is confidential. Okay, that's also need to make sure they keep them secret. They don't just just have them public, because it's not public documentation, of course. Materials. So they also have to maintain the materials, also inform the use of them, the legal action that can be taken on those people. They also issue cease and desist order. So if they actually who issue the cease and desist order, of course it's going to be the commissioner, because they're the one. It's not the government. It's not the governor. Okay, it's not the senate of the state, but it's gonna be the commissioner that issued, because that's their job to make sure if they smell the fire, if they see something, they will say something and they will do something. Okay. They also issue insurance licenses and certificate of authority. So your license, some of you that study in Indiana, they the one that gonna issue your license. They're also the one that can also take your license away from you. They also give the certificate of authority to the insurance company before they can practice. And they can also take action against you and the company. They can fine you, they can suspend your license, they can do so much. This person is pretty powerful person in the insurance department. Okay, so if you look high in this diagram here, this is the commissioner of insurance. So they supervise the insurance business. They also issue licensing. They approve policies and forms. So let's say if a company wanted to do a forms, they're gonna change their forms. So if the commissioner have to, that's where they file it. Okay, they enforce the insurance law and impose and penalties for violation. They also conduct examination and investigation, also hearings. They also do that as well. So, as I mentioned before, you guys need to know for the exam, for the purpose of the exam, examination it's something that's very important. You need to know that they do examination. So the purpose of examination is to ensure that the companies remain solvent and conduct business and insurance in compliance with the state laws and also regulation pertaining to licensing, policy form, rates, claims, and also market conduct. So the reason they do all those examination, so they want to make sure the insurance companies, they don't do whatever they want. They have to make sure, like, yes, we're gonna have to regulate you. We have to make sure the policy form is accurate. You have to be you cannot do a policy forms in your own language, meaning that let's say the person is in Thai Hulu. Let's do like you want to do. No, if you do one in that, you have to also have one really many in English. If you are in this, you don't just do the form. They have to see the form. Okay. Now they don't really tell you exactly what to put in the form, how you arrange it. That's not what they're saying. Okay, but you have to file the form. The rate, they have to make sure you not overcharge people. They're not gonna tell you exactly how much to charge. It's your products, but you cannot go overboard with it. Okay. The commissioner may conduct examination of any insurance company as often as the commissioner deem appropriate. So meaning that they can do examination how often as they want, but usually they do the examination in the state of Indiana. Probably most state, few of them may not, but most of the time, probably at least every 5 years. They can do it. You have to know that, okay? Every five When you say, I say you have to know that, you better make sure to take note. Every 5 years, examination is done, okay, and this is done by the commissioner. Don't say, oh, it was done by the governor, by the insurance company. No, it's done by the commissioner, the government. The commissioner is the one that do the examination every 5 years, unless necessary. They can do it as often as they choose to. And what you need to know about that, the commissioner may also examine and or investigate any person or the business of any person as long as the investigation is necessary. So that's mean they don't have to have a certain time. So in lieu of examination, that's mean like like let's say there's a company that do business in different state, but there is a state that their home office is located at, where they base at, which means where they're domestic at. So usually they do the examination at the domestic location, not in the foreign location or the alien location. And then soon we're going to talk about the difference between alien and foreign. So let's say that a company who started in Montana, that's where their home base is, Montana, but they also do business in Florida. So the examination is going to be done in Montana. So they don't have to go to every state to do an examination. They'll do it in Montana because everything goes. You can see why, because everything go to the home office in Montana. So everything will be done there. So therefore, the examination will be done in the domestic location. Now, let's say they also do business in Mexico, or maybe they do business in Canada. So therefore, they're alien in Canada or Mexico. Okay, so therefore they don't have to go to Mexico nor Canada to do the examination. They will do it right there at their home office, which is Montana. So know that. Okay, so this is that. I'm not gonna keep going to all these things, to be honest. Let's go to number 2. Admission of insurance company. Okay, so you need to understand, in order for a company to do business, they have to be otherwise to do it. Just like you can't just come sell insurance because you are beautiful. You are very intelligent. It doesn't work like that. Okay? Can't be saying, oh, you know what, I'm going to do a surgery on you because, I used to do it in my country. I can just do it. No, that's not how it works. It doesn't work like that. You need some permission. You understand? You need some type of permission. So admission. So when you see the word admitted and or, you see they say put or, otherwise. So both of these words mean the same thing. Admitted mean otherwise. So what I want you to know, when they say that, that's a terminology they use for the insurance company, not you agent, not you. You are the producer. They ain't talking about you, okay? So that's mean they receive a certificate of authority. That's all that mean. Admitted, otherwise mean they got a certificate of authority. That's mean they are legal to do business in that state. So that doesn't mean because this company was just licensed to do business in Montana, automatically they have license to do business in Indiana. That ain't gonna happen. You also have to be admitted in Indiana. You have to get permission from the state of Indiana, from the commissioner, from all those authorities in Indiana, in order for you to do your business. Same thing for you, agent. You can't just come in, or you license in Montana, you just go to Indiana and start writing business like you're crazy. No, that's not how that works. Okay? So now, if they are not admitted or authorized, that means they are non-admitted or non-authorized. And again, the terminology in non mean not. That means they are not authorized. So they don't have the certificate of authority. So insurer is an insurance company that has not applied. Either they did not apply for it, or maybe they applied and they got denied. So that's mean they don't have a certificate of authority. So you as agent, can you sell for them? Absolutely. The real answer is not, but it depends if there is no authorized company in that state. That's the only exception they probably have. Because I would not advise you to go do insurance, selling insurance for a company that's not authorized in that state. Because whatever the problem is, you're part of the problem too. So any claims, premiums, any problem, they'll get you too. They'll get the company and you. They'll get you and the company. So you got to be careful with that. So you can work for an authorized company as long as there's no company in that state that otherwise. How likely that would be? Man, please, not easy. That state better be like nobody live there. Nobody care about that state. Uh, don't forget that's how they still make money too. It's a way to make money anyway. Certificate of order, we know what that is. I would tell you. So, well, that's really what you need to know. Every company, okay, processing a certificate of authority must notify the commissioner of the election or the appointment of every new director or principal within 30 days. So you see, once you get that the certificate of authority, they say, well, listen, if you find your principal, your officer, you better let us know. If you have a new director, you better let us know in 30 days. Because we don't know if he's not violating some crap and he try to exit. So we have to make sure we get things under control. Okay. So if in the commissioner opinion, a new officer or director does not meet the standards set forth in the insurance code, the commissioner can request that the company remove that person from the office. See? Pretty powerful person. I keep telling you that. So they can, if you don't have all your credential, you're not deemed necessary. You're not a good fit for this deal. Okay? You're not a good fit for this deal. All right, so give me a second. I got to put this phone in airplane mode for a second. Okay, let's continue that. Let me see. If a company transact any business insurance without a certificate, if that's meaning without, if you don't have a certificate of authority and you're doing business, if the transaction of insurance business is not specified the company's certificate of authority, the commissioner may impose a maximum civil penalty of $25,000 on the director or the officer responsible. Problem. Good luck. So, okay, let's talk about domestic foreign alien companies. Okay, now we set the ground of the state rules and regulation. Now let's talk about the location. So admitted, otherwise is not a location. So you know that. So if they say all of the following are location, okay, so you know this is a location, that's a location, that's a location. But admitted is not a location. Authorized is not a location. So if you see this word admitted, I don't even know how, because I'm better in spelling. I keep telling you. Admitted mean or authorized. It's not. Okay, so it's not a location. So all of the following are location. You see, location. Except. So if they don't put domestic, they put domicile. That's a location. So be careful with that. Okay, I warn you. So don't confuse that. So domestic, those three things, I'm going to explain them to you. I don't have to read all this crap down here. So if you pay attention, hear what I'm saying. So you don't need to read all this good stuff here. So except you have to know this, a domicile, meaning that a domestic refers to a location where the insurer is incorporated, not necessarily where the insurer conduct business. Meaning that's where they're incorporated. That's where, let's say if I start a business right here in Florida, I'll be domestic or domicile in Florida. If I start my business, that's where I was in Indiana, I'll be domestic in Indiana. Okay, that's where I'm registered with the state of Indiana. So domicile, that's what that means, domestic. The main location, that's where they do the examination, by the way. You should know that. Domestic mean in this state. So I start in Pennsylvania. I do business in Pennsylvania. I'm domestic in Pennsylvania. That's when my home office is located in Pennsylvania. Done deal. Simple as that. You need to know that much. Try to read this thing, try to make this thing confusing. That's it. In this state. Now, sometimes I don't like Pennsylvania just enough. I want to make more money. So I want to go outside of Pennsylvania. So I go foreign. So I go to a different state. or a different US territory. So I would be foreign. A lot of time I use that example. Sometimes somebody came from up north, come down to Florida, they say, "Hey, where are you from?" You say, I'm a foreigner. And you see the way they speak. That's why sometimes they ask them that, "Where you from?" Because there's a sound they make. I don't know, like little zoazo. I know you don't know what zoazo mean. Bird. Okay. So anyway, they say, I'm a foreigner. And then sometimes, people like chirping these days. And, those guys from up north, sometimes they really, uh, they throw in shade on people down south. And they say, hey, when you try to associate them with down here in this state, let's say in the state let's say they don't like the state anyway, and you associate them with that state. He said, no, 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 I'm not from here. I'm a foreigner. What? And then the mama say, what do you mean you are a foreigner? I like, are you one of like a Spider-Man person? Is that what you're saying? No, it mean that they are not from in this state. If the minute they say they are a foreigner, that's mean they came from a different state. Okay, so that's what a foreign company is. They are incorporated into another state, including all the U.S. territory, like District of Columbia, like let's say there's five other major U.S. territories, like American Samoa, Guam, North Marina Island, Puerto Rico, okay, maybe in the U.S. Virgin Islands. So any of those, including all plus all the 50 states. So if they're not in one of the states, they will be considered foreign. So meaning that a company started in New York, they do business in California. That's mean they are foreign in California. In New York, they are domestic, but that's an example of that. Okay, they give you a scenario like that. Okay, so the next one is alien. Alien is when they do business in another state. I mean, another country. Sorry, another country. Alien. That's why sometimes I make a joke on that. But some people probably think it's funny, but it's not funny. Okay, it's not funny. I'm being honest. It's not damn funny for you. Back in the day, people that came from a different country, they give them an alien card. They didn't call it green card. They call it an alien card, telling that you're not from in this country at all. You're not come from any of the 50 states or any of the U.S. territory. That's for you are alien, like Spider-Man. So, so that's what that means. Now they try to take that little thing out of them. They say, you know what? Let's call it residence, and they come with that word residence instead of it was not nice. And they call it green card, whatever. This is crazy. But anyway, that's what that means. Okay? Alien mean an insurance company that incorporated in outside of the US. That's it. And those two are very important. Don't confuse them. There's nothing for you to be confused about. Simple as that. Okay, now let's change gear a little bit. We're gonna talk about some type of insurance. Insurance on top of insurance. Okay, so insurance on top of insurance. So it's just like there is things that protect you as an agent or a producer. There is things that protect the insurance company. There is things that also protect the public in case something happens. And this is one of them that protect the public. Insurance Guarantee Association. You see the word guarantee mean? Guarantee is a warranty. So that means you find this in Life and Health Insurance Association was created to protect who? I want you to know that. And we're not gonna go, I'm gonna align those a little bit for you. You have to know that. It's to protect policy owners against insolvent. Who I say protect? Policy owners. So the person who purchased the policy. That's one thing they come up with to protect policy owners. Okay? So now the Guarantee Association, now it's any company selling life insurance or health insurance must belong to the guarantee. See the word belong, must. No wonder why they tell you have to get the certificate of authority. Because when they tell you to get your certificate of authority, they say, hey, buddy, XYZ company, you also, did you know after you do your application with us, you also have to be participate with those guys. You have to register with them. So they have to check you out to make sure you don't come here and do a bunch of business. After that, you go bankrupt and make everybody lose the money. And then they can find financially, you're hurting our people. You're hurting our policy owners. You're hurting our anybody that's entitled to receive that money, okay? Because you become insolvent. That happen. Insurance company become insolvent. Just like there's bank. Like when the banks become insolvent, FDIC come in and take the banks and they do merger. They put the banks for sale in the middle of the night. The banks pick it up. You cannot clean your mess, so we're gonna have somebody come here and clean your mess. So there's things that also there, that's one of them, to protect the consumer against the insurance company insolvent in case they don't have money to pay claims. Really, that's really main reason. So the association liability is generally limited to those of the impaired insurance company. They may not exceed or lesser the contractual obligation. So they are gonna give you more money than what you have to a certain limit. So as you can see here, notice this is what they will protect you against: $300,000 life insurance death benefits, but not no more than $100,000 in net cash surrender. So meaning that if you have a whole life policy that have more than 100,000, let's say 110, 100, $200,000 on it, they will not protect you no more than 100. So if you have a policy that $500,000, they're not going to protect you more than 300,000 max. That's that. Disability or long-term care, same thing, 300,000. Basics, hospital or medical, surgical or medical insurance benefit to $500,000, they will protect you. And other type of health insurance, 100,000, and 250 present value of an annuity. So if you have an annuity and you have a net cash surrender, also they will protect you annuity, 250,000. Those are for those dumb. That's sometimes this if you have an insurance, there's I already put my money at the bank because it's FDIC insured. Okay, then dumb. You need to understand these things that also protect policy owners too with the beneficiaries. Okay, so be careful what you say to people. Let me see. If a single owner owns more than one non-group policy or multiple person, so corporation owns a policy on the corporation officers, the guarantee association would not pay no more than $5 million of any one owner. So I don't know, this is something you need to get an exam, but it's there. Unfair trade practice. And something, if it is fair, it's fair. If it is it's not. Trade practice is to make any statement that is the insurance policy or guarantee by the extent of insurance guarantee association. What that means is it's unfair to use that word guarantee association in any advertisement. Is unfair trade practice. You can't use that name, period. So in any advertisement, so you can see no insurer, no principal, no insurance company cannot advertise protection by the insurance company association. Hey, come do business with me because we are protected. We've been part of the guarantee association. We are the best. So we guarantee that when you pass away, we're going to take care of your family. Please do business with us. Don't do business with XYZ. You can't do that. They're going to give you a slap on your hand. Okay? So be careful with that. And that is a very important subject I just explained to you. When I say very important, you know what that means. Be on point. Okay? Licensing laws. Of course. What do you think? You think you're just going to come here and then start sell or solicit, negotiate insurance in the state without a license? How dare you? That's why people don't want to be in finance. They say, they don't want to study. Lazy, get your butt, wake up and study. Pass the test. The test is not that hard to pass. So what they saying? The reason you need to get a license, you can't sell. You see the word I'm underlining. Solicit or negotiating insurance in the state of Indiana without your proper license. Because the purpose you have to get licensed is to make sure you ensure as a producer you meet the educational, even though some of them probably get the license, they don't know what the heck they're doing. But part of it no is say that, hey, listen, you go to the class, you meet the requirement that you meet the ethical standard to fulfill your job, your responsibility to the insurance company, also to the public. Okay? So licensing regulation is set up just for that. And there's requirement, there's procedures, and there's fees, there's qualification, licensure, appointment that need to be done in order for you to start get going with that in that field. So there's different type of license, okay, that somebody can get. There's them here. There's a life. This is coverage on a human life. You can get that beautiful license to cover people, the life. Okay, give them life insurance. There is variable life, and there is variable annuity products. Insurance provide under the variable contract. Also, there is incident or health insurance sickness coverage for sickness, people that's sick, okay, or bodily or accidental death, or disability income. There is property. That's property insurance is covered that for a direct or consequential loss or damage of a property of any kind or every kind. Casualty covered for against legal liability. Casualty. Okay, sometimes you're gonna use the word property and casualty. Okay, personal line is non-commercial. This is where you cover like houses, but non-commercial, or maybe personal car, but not business, not car that have commercial insurance. Okay, let's say somebody who have a truck driver. The truck driver is a commercial, so you cannot choose a personal line. You can use property and casualty for it, but not personal line. Um, Tallow insurance. It's an insurance you can use to cover against loss or damage of an account on a real estate. That's what Tallow insurance is. Credit life insurance. This is what we use for debt insurance. That's a limited line. So you see, this have a limited line. Be careful with that. Limited line. That's the limited line. So they ask you which of the following is a limited line. That's one of them. Let me see. Any other type of insurance, and those are different kind of insurance that's out there. So, you know they there. If they are important, I will see if I can mention some more. But this is it. Don't forget, this recording will be a bit longer, but you can pause it, and you can continue. Producers. Producer is a word that they can use for both agent and broker. So if somebody have do like broker, they can also mean that isn't a producer. Simply, it's not the insurance company, it's you. Okay, they are individuals. Okay, or a business entity that licensed to sell or solicit. Those words. Once you see the word sell, solicit, negotiate insurance, you have a license, you need a license for that. But a producer be able to do that. From a legal standpoint, producers represent their respective insurance company, not the customers. So meaning that when you go sell insurance for a company, you are representing I know sometimes it's hard for you to understand. You are representing the company, not the client. Okay? Any person applying for resident insurance producer license should submit an application to who? To the commissioner. Okay, on a uniform application that everybody file, and you declare under the penalty and refusal, submission, revocation, license, a statement made in the application. They are true. You're not lying. You're not, all that good stuff based on your knowledge. But in order for you to apply for the application, you have to be at least 18 years old of age. Okay, you has not committed any crime, or they have not denied you or suspension or revoke you before. You has received a certificate of completion of a course, pre-licensing course, not what I'm helping you here. This is not a course. Okay, if we require a commissioner, um, or um, no longer than 6 months prior to the date of the application, you has paid the non-refundable fee. So the fee that you pay is non-refundable. Also, you have successfully passed the examination. So you have to pass the exam. Okay, so you don't just think, oh man, you know what? No, you have to do all of it. An insurance producer is an individual who is licensed under the state law of Indiana to sell, solicit, negotiate insurance. Those called transaction. Those words is the transaction you're doing. If you're doing sell, solicit, negotiate, and advise people about claims, you better make sure you have a license. Other than that, you're in violation right then and there. Okay? A license can be issued to a business entity as long as the business entity meet the following qualification. They are trustworthy. So you make sure so an entity, a business can get a license also to do that type of business. They pays all the requirement fee. Okay, designated licensed producer that's responsible for the business in that state, and they has not committed any act that are ground for probation, suspension, revocation, or refusal of an insurance license. Same thing for the producer. Can't be troublemaker. That's what they're saying. Don't be a troublemaker. If you're not in this business, don't be a troublemaker. The term business entity includes corporation, association, partnership, limited liability company, limited liability partnership, or other legal entity. So any of this can be a business entity. Understand resident versus non-resident. For those of you that's taking this course, it doesn't matter what state you are in, you're gonna get those terminology. Pretty much most of the thing I'm explaining here, the only difference in the state of Florida is the commissioner and the chief financial officer. Other than that, everything so far is the same. Okay. Resident. Resident mean if I got my license in the state of Indiana, I'm resident in Indiana. So my driver's license also have the address of Indiana. That's where I am based at. Now, I can also have my license appointed in another state. Just like the company do business in another state. Okay, but in order for you to appoint in another state, your company, XYZ, insurance company, need to also in that state too. Okay, because you representing them. So if they're not in that state, you ain't gonna get appointed in that state for them. So you can get what we call a non-resident. That's mean none mean not. I'm not resign in that state. So you don't have to go do another test, but I can appoint my license in the state of Ohio, even though I'm in Indiana. So I can do business in Indiana. So I don't have to live in Indiana. I mean in Ohio, sorry. I can appoint my license in the state of Florida. So I don't have to be in Florida physically to do business. So this is called you get a non-resident license. So just like let's say for example, for me that's in Florida, I can also get my license appointed in Indiana, get a non-resident license in Indiana, not a resident but a non-resident. So at the same time, if I want to move to Indiana, so I want Indiana to be my home state, so I need to change my residency to Indiana to a resident license in Indiana. It's two different things. Okay, make sure you understand the difference between resident and non-resident. So to become a resident license in Indiana, you as the individual, you must do this. Either live in Indiana or have a primary place of business in Indiana. Remember that. Either you have to live in Indiana or you have a place of business in Indiana. Number two, you have to complete required pre-licensing education. Got to go to the class. The class you don't like, go to the class. Get to the damn class. Okay? And number three, pass the proper examination. Okay, that's your job. Live in Indiana or have a place of business, complete a required pre-licensing education class, and then pass the state exam. Any person, in bold, important, any person may hold an Indiana resident license, any person without actually living in Indiana. So meaning that I don't have to live in Indiana to have license. Okay, a resident license in Indiana, as long as what? He or she does not hold any resident license in any other state. So let's say that I can be in Florida, but I was in Indiana, and my license was in Indiana. I don't have to be in Indiana living if Indiana the only state license I have. So meaning that even though I'm in Florida, I didn't get a license in Florida or any other state. I can have, I don't have to have a place of business there. And I can still have it. I can hold Indiana resident license without actually living there. That's an exception. So if they ask you, how can someone have a license doing business in Indiana if you don't live there? So that's one exception. So as long as I don't have any other state, that's mean I can appoint my license with just one state in Indiana. That's it, and I can live anywhere as long as I meet that requirement. Okay, very important. And if you do have a question about that, put it in the comment section, and then I can be able to give you more feedback. Okay, non-resident person may also receive a non-resident producer license. In order now, for somebody like me, if I want to get a non-resident license in Indiana, so that's mean I'm not living in Indiana and I don't plan to live in Indiana. I just want to be able to do business in Indiana. I want to be able to write business in that state. Here's what I need to have. I have to be currently licensed in as a resident license in good standing in my home state. So that's mean in Florida, I have to be in good standing. I can't be a jerk in Florida, and after I be a jerk, try to be a good citizen in Indiana to get licensed. No, that ain't gonna happen. I also has to submitted a proper request of a non-resident license and paid required fee to who? The commissioner. Okay, remember it's about money. You might think it's not. It's not. It is about money. It's about compliance, but it is about money also. So you have to know. It's not an exam I have to go pass, but I have to pay money to get appointed in that state. Okay, fine, no problem. I'm good. So far, so good. Number 3, has sent the commissioner a copy of license application submitted to a person home state or completed to a National Association Insurance Commissioner, NAIC, uniform application. So I have to also apply. I have to find one of those network that I can apply. That's pretty much approved by NAIC, that uniform application to submit. So I have to do an application. No, that's nothing. I can do that. No problem. And number 4, reside in the home state that awards non-resident producer license. So now, if my state don't allow non-resident license, I won't be able to get one. But if my state of Florida allow me to have a non-resident license, of course I can get one in Indiana as a non-resident producer license, and they'll be able to let me practice in Indiana. So now, because since I'm in Florida, I can do it to get a non-resident license in Indiana. So the people in Indiana, the residents in Indiana, can also get a non-resident license in Florida. Now, the two states have what we call reciprocity. So you allow my people to practice in your state, so I will allow your people to practice in my state, except both of us allow them a fee to appoint in that state, as long as they're in good standing in our own state. So a non-resident is required to complete pre-license. A non-resident is not required to complete pre-licensing course or take an examination. Beautiful thing is you don't have to go get the class again. It doesn't matter your state only allow you 20-hour class. It doesn't matter your state allow you to do 30. It doesn't matter your state allow you to do 40. It doesn't matter. You don't have to do the pre-licensing class again, nor the examination. So that's why you see the state really, they come together to do this. I love it. I love it. Consultant. Now, a consultant is a person, okay? A person who, for a fee, offer any advice, counsel, opinion, service regarding the benefits of or advantages or disadvantages promised under any policy of an insurance that could be issued in Indiana. So this person is a consultant, so they can also charge you a fee for advice for their opinion. A consultant license is valid for 24 months, meaning that 2 years. So you have to be renew or extend that consultant license. So know the 24. The consultant license is good for 24 months. Very important. An individual or corporation cannot hold a consultant license and an insurance producer license, surplus line producer license, or limited line producer license at the same time. So if you just call yourself a consultant, unfortunately, you remain a consultant. You can't have both. You get that? If you was like that all across the board, but they're gonna come down, they're probably gonna trick you. So a consultant license is not required for the following. So if you are a lawyer, you don't need a consultant license. Okay. So sometimes they give them incidental advice as as a lawyer. A duly licensed insurance producer or surplus line producer license. A trust officer or a bank acting as a normal course of the trust officer's employment. Okay, or an actuary or a certified public accountant. So those people, they do not need to have a license. They might charge a fee based on what they do because they give you that advice is part of what they do. But unfortunately, they will not charge you. I mean, they will not need to have a license in order for them to do that. So let me see. I'm going to have to take a break in a minute. Producer acting as a consultant. As you should know, an insurance producer cannot hold. As you should know, an insurance producer cannot hold a consultant license. But a producer, however, may act as a consultant. See, when you get your license in Indiana, you can be a producer, but also you can act as a consultant. But you have to let the client know you're doing that. So not only you can get paid a commission for selling the policy, but you can also charge them a fee for the advice. But you got to have the permission. You have to provide them with the insured with written agreement. They have to agree to that on the fee. And you have to disclose to the insured that the producer will also receive compensation for the sale of the policy. Okay, because you're doing double dipping. So prior to the sales, prior to the solicited negotiation or renewal or any of this policy, as a consultant, if you charge them a fee for doing that, so therefore you have to let them know, hey, listen, I know I do this policy. Yes, I'm gonna get paid, but I will charge you a fee for coming here and then keep taking business from me. And as long as they not agree, you can't do it. But if they agree, hey, you got their permission, so it's all good. Temporary license. A temporary license is good for 180 days without requiring examination of any of the following. But it's not for anybody. It's for somebody like a surviving spouse, okay, or a court-appointed personal representative, or of a licensed individual insurance producer who die or become physically or mentally disabled in order to allow for the following: adequate time for sales of insurance business owned by the producer. So let's say somebody have a license and they pass away, or maybe they become disabled mentally, something happened to them. So they can appoint somebody, they will give them a temp license just to be able to continue this business for the next 6 months. And you can see why that's important. Because if you have, imagine that producer have a lot of clients and boom, they pass away, everything stop, and then there is no alternative. That can also cause some problems. Imagine that's a lot of people start dying and they have to deliver the claim, they have to make changes, and nobody there to help them. You can see how hard this can cause a problem. So I totally understand why they did give them 180 days, 6 months to appoint a spouse to do that. Or surviving of an insurance business until recover or maybe yes, they survive, but they want to make sure they are in a recovery mode, but the business need to continue. The training and or licensing of new personnel. Yeah, that's another reason. So they have these new people that coming in, they need help, so they want to appoint somebody to be able to help them right quick. Um, a member to a member of an employee of a business license as an insurance policy if the individual designated as a business entity in the application or the license die or become disabled. Again, you're gonna see how maybe somebody was also to the designing of a licensed individual insurance producer entering active service or the armed force or the United States of America, the military or something. To an individual of any circumstances considered by the commissioner to be in the best interest of the public. So, if somebody in the best interest of, maybe there's something going on and the commissioner feel like we need to appoint somebody to go check that out, and you can issue them a temp license just to go make sure take care of the best interest of the public. Those are the one. Okay, line, limited line. Okay, limited line. Give me 1 second. Before I get to limited line, let's see. The commissioner may revoke a temporary license if the interests of the insured or the public are in danger. So if they give it to you for signal and they feel like you really messing up around with it, they can revoke it right away. A temporary license insurance producer license expire at the same time the owner personal representative disposes of the business. If they should occur sooner than the 180-day term, so they can do that. They can stop it if they finish before the 6 month, and that's okay. You need to understand this. Okay, this is very important part. Limited line. This is called a specialty insurance product. So there is some type of insurance that you can buy. Then that's something like very special due to the nature of the transaction. It called is a limited line. Producer is not required to take examination prior to be licensed. So there are several limited lines, and you need to know those in the state of Indiana. The following is not, those people does not require to have examination. Travel insurance. Have you ever seen like you're probably in travel, you're planning travel for somebody and then you want to put an insurance in case they want to cancel your trips or things like that? Or maybe there's in case damage or maybe a rental vehicle, sickness, accident or disability or mental while then they're doing travel, during a trip. So if that's what you're doing a license. So you can see when you're buying a ticket, they say if you can put insurance on and things like that. So those people can sell you the insurance without them being appointed, or I mean not appointed, licensed. Title. Let's say somebody doing title agent, selling insurance in a real estate transaction to indemnify the insured against losses from the defect of a title property is not. So let's say somebody, the title agent, while they're doing it, maybe things can happen and mistake can happen while they're doing the title and things like that. So they put in insurance just in case that happen. So that person don't need to have, that's a limited line. They don't need a license. A credit life or credit health. So while sometimes you probably go at a bank or maybe at the dealership, you're applying for a loan or something of that nature, and they say you need to put insurance on that deal, blah blah blah, in case you die to cover the debt. So you don't need an insurance license for that. Okay, crop, an insurance covered for loss of damage of crops due to the disaster. You guys probably that no crop. Me, I don't know. Let's say somebody can have the like things into their garden and things like that. The disaster can come and destroy those things. Yeah, then you don't need a license for that. Self storage. Of course, you can put your stuff in a self storage place, and this, you put an insurance on it in case something happened. The renters, maybe for a vehicle, maybe for home. They want to make sure like it does not apply for homeowners or renters or private passengers, but self storage means like an insurance coverage for loss, damage, to a property and that's in the storage place. Sometimes you go to a storage place, you put your stuff, things can happen, so you can get an insurance for that. So just know who of this doesn't require that's considered a limited line, because they can tell you all of the file are limited line except. Okay. So just know, you're gonna see, look for those words: travel, title, credit, crops, self-storage. Another limited line it's commonly used is a funeral director license. This license, however, require a completing of a standard life insurance pre-licensing education and life producer examination. So a funeral director license, so that's okay. So that's a limited line. So but this one have to go to education and licensing. But it's still considered a limited line. It's not a general line, it's a limited line. So let me see. Another type of person who does not need to be licensed, an insurance producer, is an employee, otherwise representative of a vendor that is licensed as a limited line producer to sell or solicit, negotiate portable electronics insurance incidental connection. Portable electronic insurance, that's another one. So, okay. Sometimes if you have phones and you put insurance on it, those people don't need to be licensed. Okay, so let's talk about insurance. The way what can happen, you need an appointment. Okay, in order for you to do business for a company, in order for you to sell life insurance for a company, you have to be appointed by each company. So if you want to work for 3 companies, you need 3 appointments. Okay, an insurance company may terminate the producer authority. That's been cancel your appointment relationship between the company and the producer. The insurer may terminate the producer appointment, employment, or contact and notify the commissioner no later than 30 days. What I mean is, like, they can terminate you as an agent and they're just 30 days to let the commissioner know you are fired. So, for example, this is the insurance company. They appoint you as a producer to act as an agent. So you become a producer. Now, they file an application, they file an agent appointment, they pay the appointment fees, and they file it with the Department of Insurance. So same thing now, when they're going to terminate you, they're going to let the Department of Insurance know, the commissioner know, hey, this person no longer works for me, so whatever things that happen, I'm not responsible for them. Okay? So duty of the producer. You have your own duty to make sure you follow. This is the licensing step. Unless exempt. Exempt mean, remember, not an obligation. You not have to follow that type of things. You're exempt from it. Under Indiana regulation, applicant must pass a written examination when applying for the following license: a resident insurance producer license, a consultant license, and a surplus line producer license. So if you're doing 3 of this, you need to make sure you follow the licensing process. Examination required under the regulation must test the knowledge concerning the following: line, authority of which application is made, duty and responsibility of a license, and insurance laws and administrative rules of Indiana. So examination required under the regulation. Okay. A resident or a non-resident producer license may apply for an online. It tell you where to go to apply. Whatever, this is not too much of a big deal. Under the certain circumstances, individual may be exempt from either the whole of a for the whole thing or part of the exam. So person who have obtained the designation of a chartered life underwriter or a certified planner, financial planner, that's mean a CFP, or a chartered financial consultant, CHFC, would only be required to take an Indiana law portion of examination applying for an insurance producer license. And I can see why they might do that, because part of it, they already have some type of knowledge in certain part of the things, but they want you to be associated to know the law section. So person who are resident producer in good standing in another state, also exempt from Indiana pool licensing. We did already mention that in the exam. If currently hold the same type of license in another state and only in the Indiana application is received within 90 days of the cancellation of the other state license. So you don't have to go to the examination. Control business. That's not a very important thing. Control business means the commissioner may not grant or renew or continue any person license if the commissioner finds that the license is being used or will be used by the applicant or the licensee for the purpose of writing control business. So you can't just get your license just to do control business. Control business is defined as an insurance that written on the interest of the applicant or licensee. Okay, the applicant licenses immediate family and or the applicant licensee employer or business partner. So you can't just get the license just to do business on yourself only. You can't get license just to do business on just your immediate family, mom, dad, parent. Mom, dad, brother, sister, kids, and things like that. You can't just get your insurance license just to write business just on for your employer or for your business partners. What about everybody else? So you can't just do that. So now a license is considered to be used or intended to be used for the purpose of writing control business if the commissioner finds that during the 12-month period, the aggregate commissions earned from the control business exceed 25% of the aggregate commissions earned on all business written by the license in the same period. So you cannot make more than 25% of your money from control business. That's what they're saying. So more than 25%, you're in trouble. Some states have a different number. Like for Florida example, it's 50%. Unless they might change the rule, but as of right now, that's what happened. But in this state of Indiana, 25% your money, the money that you're making as income, your commission cannot come from more than, let's say if you do 30% of your money from control business, well, you can have a problem with them. Okay? So how do you maintain your license? Do your renewal. You know, this is so funny. I have to tell this to you. Yeah, I'm amazed to see how many people get their license and then because they don't do your continuing education and they end up losing their license. Because don't you know if you don't do your CE every 2 years, unless if you don't do that, they can revoke your license, they can suspend you, and you pay renewal fee because you have to understand. After you pass the exam, yes, that's one thing, but you have every 2 years, you have to do your continue education and pay the filing fee for that. It's like $40 on your Indiana. $40 you have to pay. It's not that much. Just do your CE and pay $40. So producer license renewal date is based on the producer birth month. The renewal will expire at the last day of the birth month. If the producer hold multiple licenses, they all will be due on the renewal of at the same time. So know this producer responsibility for new license, not the agency department license. So not the agency. You as an individual, you as a human being, you have to understand you need to renew your license every 2 years on your birth month, the last day of. So if you're born in March 31st, in the next 2 years, you have to renew it and pay $40. What you don't get? Why you don't take responsibility to take care of that? This is crazy. Now you get me mad. Better go do your CE, pay little money, keep your license. You don't have to do exam again, but that's how you keep it. Expiration of your license. If a producer license has lapsed, the producer, had completed all of the requirement continuing education hours before the license expire, or the license can be reinstated for 12 months of offer after the expiration date of the license without having to pass the written examination. So look at that. So if you let 12 months pass, you don't do your CE, you don't renew your license, okay, good luck. You have to do everything again. A penalty of 3 times the unpaid renewal fee is required at the renewal fee received after the expiration date of the license. So if you let it expire, 3 times. 3 times fully, It'd be 100 what, $20. The Department of Insurance may waive this penalty if the renewal fee received within 30 days after the expiration date. So they give you a 30-day grace period anyway. So, and they send you email. That's why you can't change your email. You have to let them know. I don't know if they send you to the mail, but make sure your email, your addresses, you can get your mail. So you don't say, oh, well, I didn't know. But you ain't studied the damn thing. How you don't know? How you don't know? This is crazy. You better know it. Change name and address. You think you can just go change your name and then you don't tell them? That's not how it works. You change your name, you have to let the commissioner know. You change your business name, your residential address, your alias name, or your email address within 30 days. So if you put something in front of your name, because that's when you change it, you put in aliases. So therefore, you have to let them know in 30 days you did that. Okay, you don't call your company it's your responsibility to do it. So it is very important that the producer to update this information in order to receive licensing renewal form and mailed to keep license current. Failure to do that within 30 days, and they will charge you a penalty for $100. Indiana is give you guys a lot of breaks. In $100, not that much. Okay? If an Indiana resident producer move from Indiana to another state, the producer may change his or her license statute from resident to non-resident. To do this, the producer must also apply to the Insurance Department of Indiana and provide a certificate from the new resident state within 30 days. No license application fee or would be required. Criminal and administrative action. So if they put your butt in jail, it's it's you have to report it. 30 days to report that you are in jail. After the initial or pre-trial hearing date, the insurance policy, you have to let them know 30 days. And they say the report can be submitted either electronically to the National Insurance Producer Registry, NIPR. If you go to at www.nipr.com/licensing, and or by mailing it to on paper to the Department of Insurance in Indiana. I already talked about the continuing education called the CE for continuing education. So this is what we need to follow to make sure to protect the public. Sometimes we don't know. We're not in we have to keep a high standard and professional. So therefore you have to stay up to date. Just like your computer need update, you need update. So your license needs some update. So go do your CE, 24 hours credit. You have to do every 2 years. 3 hours must be in ethics. Remember that 3 hours must be in ethics. Must. Not an option. So the other 21 hours can be in anything else, but 3 hours must be in ethics. Every 2 years, you need to do that. Okay, you can get an extension. Okay, there's an extension if you let them know. So a producer may request an extension to do the CE requirement by filing a form, commissioner, and pay what? $25 fee. It's a lot of money. You have to understand the commissioner love money. Because you're going to make them do more work, you're going to have to pay them more money. The producer license will remain in effect until the commissioner makes the decision to request on the request. The commissioner denied the extension request, the producer must complete the CA within 90 days. So if you send the request, they don't give it to you. Good thing is you pay $25 fee, we give you 90 days. They still give you a bit of time, 90 days. Anyway, a licensed insurance producer may also unable to renew, who is unable to comply with the license renewal procedure due to military service, they can also waive that. So if you're not in the military, of course, they can give you a break. When you come back, you can still have to do it. Or in order for a retired producer to continue collecting commission from the retirement, producer must maintain the license. So don't say, oh, you know what, I'm retired now, so I don't have to get my license. No, then you're not going to get no commission. In order for you to get commission, you better get your license active. Do your CE. The following producers are not required to complete the continuing education for license renewal. For example, a limited line, there is no CE for that without examination. A limited line credit producer, they don't need that. A non-resident license, of course, because if they do the CE in their state, they don't need to do it on Indiana, for example. Let's say you're licensed in Indiana, you do your CE in Indiana. You have a non-resident license in Florida, you don't have to do one in Florida, as long as your state allow that. Producer may carry over up to 12 hours CE credit from one renewal period to the next. Carry over hours must be completed no more than 120 days before license renewal date. So if you have to do more hours, you have to do it 120 days before the renewal date. So carry 12 hours. So remember that 12 hours you can carry over. That's the max. But make sure before the renewal date you do it 120 days. CE credit is in ethics, long-term care may be carried over. So if you do more hours in ethics or long-term care, those also may not carry over. So they're not gonna accept that. Okay, my bad. They're not gonna accept that. So if you do CE and credit, more, let's say if you do 6 in ethics, you think so when you do it next time you don't have to do it, that ain't gonna happen. So you still have to do another 3 hours. So every time you're doing it, 2 hours is mandatory. Okay, so let's see. It tells you where to where to go. This is where you track the system. Sycon Corporation is a company that they use to serve companies and individual of the insurance industry to provide automated, efficient way to manage your license process. So to do also your continuing education module. So that's one thing what they use. So this is it. Let's go ahead. I will take a break myself. And after that, I will come back and I will do the rest of this chapter. So I will cut it into 2 segments. Okay. So if you didn't have a chance to, like I said, if you didn't have a chance to watch the terminology, you can do that. And if this is the first time you come in and into the to the MMC University, if you like the video, share it with someone. If you know they need help, this is not a class. This is just a little help that I can give you. So if you need more help, so you make sure you go with your exam manual. Then do follow your instructor guideline, your state guideline. This is just a help. This is nothing more. If you want sign up for the class, just find a company. There's plenty of them out there. You can go on Google and then you find one that can help you get your study material and then do it from that. Okay, really appreciate you all. I'll see you on the next video. I'll take a break right now.